Live from the Motor City, all the way to the Volunteer State. It's time for the Reckless Speculation Podcast, where we recklessly speculate the latest news in the world of sports. From college football to NASCAR, we've got you covered. And don't forget to stick around for the world-famous Bet Your Nuts, where we will give you your best bets to make the most money. Now sit back, grab your favorite drink of choice, and join Robbie Davis, Raj Mehta, Brandon Chain, and Tom Sloan. It's showtime.
Welcome everyone to this May 1st, 2024 edition of Reckless Speculation. We are going to break down the main sport that is played on Sunday. They had their draft over the weekend. And so we're going to take a deep dive into the Titans picks, the Raiders picks, the Lions picks, the host team, the winners and losers. Before we do that, though, we have to go to what I guess is considered the secondary Sunday sport, but 2 weekends ago or 1 weekend ago in Talladega, it took a backseat to no one. I was there. Tom was there, a fan of the show. Barry was there. Tom, welcome.
That probably, and I told you guys before, was probably the coolest sporting experience that I've ever witnessed live. Just the sights, the sounds, the last 25 laps, literally coming down to a crash in the end. It blew me away. I didn't really have any expectations going in since it was my first NASCAR experience, but I mean, it started Saturday morning with qualifying, like just the sound of the car being right there and just seeing how fast they go. I was blown away by the whole experience.
Yes, the qualifying was incredible. The whole week, it started off with me picking up Tom at the airport down in Atlanta.
Us getting 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, 1:30 in the morning. We stayed up, chatted till probably 3. As most of you know, Taylor had 2 albums that dropped, and so I had to. Tom was interrupting that, but that's okay. And then, we got up in the morning, and the next day, Friday, started with me realizing I had the RV in the wrong spot, and that whole kind of fiasco. But you get to Talladega, and you get there, and it feels different. It's just like you're in this whole different world.
Yeah, I mean, the camping right outside the track itself, and then you could just feel the excitement, people packing in, and then you have the infield, which even if you're not a race fan, taking a trip inside the infield is probably an experience that I didn't know. Oh, man, I mean, they call it Talladega Boulevard, and it's just rows of campers, and you have pop-up bars, you have DJs, you have live music. It's hard to believe that this takes place at a NASCAR event, but man, Friday night was a sight to see, no question.
Well, it is crazy, like how it's set up to where it is like one camp, like on Talladega Boulevard, like it's almost like it is like their own bar. I mean, like you have the DJs or the band, and then you go 50 feet over, and you can't really hear. It's a whole different set of music, and it's just a great wild setup. I encourage anyone, whether you like NASCAR or not, get there. It's the only race I've ever been to, but it's incredible. And honestly, Tom, I know you and I talked about this before we get into football. We talked about the race this past Sunday, how it was such a letdown compared to how great Talladega was.
Yeah, you have, we were fortunate to have really good seats. We were right by the start finish, so you could see, the passing develop and Reddick hit the start finish in the lead, and then McDowell, he's got it lead in turn 2, and the battles, and it took all 2.5 miles of that track to see who was going to win and who was going to come back in this next lap ahead. And whereas, you go to Dover, it's a mile, they call it the Monster Mile, and it's, it is very ho-hum. It's kind of disappointing. You ride the highs.
Have that race after Talladega. They should have some kind of super speedway, something like that. But for those of you who don't know and weren't following our Twitter feed or on any kind of text chain we have, Barry, the other guy who was there, Barry and I split a $1,000 bet on Ford being the winning manufacturer. Tom is just going for Tyler Reddick, and he's sitting there. Me and Barry, with the three of us together, Barry and I are stressed every lap going around. It's a lot of money to win or lose. We're stressed out, and then we get to the finish line. The Fords completely shit the bed. And
the one Ford,
McDowell completely shit the bed. Somehow, was it Keselowski who was?
Keselowski was trying to. So Keselowski had been pushing him the whole the last 20 laps.
Somehow he doesn't get there, and then Reddick just scoops up, and we're like, "Oh my god!" And there was some, and Tom celebrating. There was some confusion on who won. It was a wild finish. Yeah. It was one of those. Cobra moments for me.
Well, when Reddick made the pass to take the lead, I'm like, I was so excited. And then I looked to you and Barry, and you look like the kid in Ann Arbor after the Michigan State game. Like, surrender Cobra. Like,
what the hell
did I just see that? So the highs and lows immediately. And no, I did not take part in a bet like that. And I just came away with a hat. That was it. Yeah. But man, it was exciting.
I got my swag that looks like I camped in it all weekend. But yeah, all right. Enough of NASCAR race. Let's get to the reason why 775,000 people came out to watch people walk across stage. Brandon, welcome to the show.
What's going on, fellas? Nice little Talladega story there. Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. Nothing like getting into NASCAR to go to a live event. It is something else. It's like watching golf. Like it's so boring watching them go in circles. Same thing with golf. Then you show up in a live event, and you see what it's all about. So that's awesome. You guys got to go there. I've been there, I think, twice to Talladega back in the day, but it was a great finish. It never disappoints. Those big restrictor plate tracks never disappoint. It's always the crash, and it happened right there at the end. So
sorry you lost. Welcome to the show.
Yeah. Can we say real quick, we had the quote of the whole weekend on Friday. We were at lunch
while waiting for our RV situation to unfold.
So we're at lunch at Logan's? I didn't even know a Logan's existed anymore.
In Oxford, Alabama.
So we're sitting there, and the waitress is basically saying, hey, I've been the race, but I work it. This is, we make good money this weekend. And then out of the blue, she says, well, last year I got by a crackhead. And I almost fell out of my chair. Apparently she thought she was buying some high grade moonshine, but turns out it was margarita mix. So and he was, what did she say he was wearing?
Not alligator boots, but some kind of like fancy. I was like, if I see a homeless crackhead selling moonshine, I will not purchase it.
We were trying to not get got by a
rule number one. Yes. And now
welcome to Talladega.
Yes.
Yeah. And now, while Raj wasn't technically on time, he is on time for his appearance. Raj, welcome.
I have no idea what you guys have been talking about, but it sounds like you have fun. There's a lot of boobs in the infield, right?
What happens in Talladega stays in Talladega.
They were there.
They were gross boobs, though.
I got a lot of Go Blues too, because your boy was dripped out with Michigan wear. So some of the guys were a bit nervous, but handled it well. Kudos to the Alabama fans; they were very respectful.
Brandon,
National champ, you gotta rock it.
Brandon, refresh my memory. Did you go to the draft in Nashville?
Yeah.
Okay. So Brandon, you were there in Nashville. 600,000 people were there. I thought it couldn't be broken. I wasn't there for obviously either of these two drafts. Nashville was insane. Kind of set the standard, and everyone else kind of fell short till this weekend. And Detroit showed out. Tom, you were there on Thursday. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we got down there Thursday. It was just before 2:00, and fortunately the weather was perfect. It was mid-60s and sun was shining, so the city looked great. And just as soon as we got down there, you could feel that energy. You could feel the excitement down there, and the layout was really good. So basically, the main throughway in Detroit is Woodward. So they closed down Woodward, and that became essentially part of the draft experience. So you had to register for, they call it the one pass. So you show your one pass to get into the area, and it was really, really great. They embraced the city. The Lions were well represented, and security was good. There was a very, very high police presence, so there was no problems. If I remember correctly, there was only 2 people arrested after night one, and there was 275,000 people down there. So it was filling up pretty fast. We ended up going back to Ford Field because we were taking part in the Lions season ticket holders draft party. So we went there, but you get updates through the app that they had set up, and at like 5:30 they started closing exits because they were nearing capacity, and by 6:00 they completely shut it down because you couldn't fit any more people in there. But
that was a takeaway I took, was that like Nashville does this every weekend pretty much. Like they like just this weekend alone, there's probably going to be 400,000 people down on Broadway with the Preds, Morgan Wallen. So they're used to this. But Detroit, it looked like it was well ran. And I haven't been there since I was in college. And so I couldn't picture probably where it wasn't there when I was there, last time I was in Detroit. But it looked like a really cool setup. And how many streets they have to block.
So they blocked all the roads that led into Woodward. And where the draft actually was in the financial district. So in the wintertime, they call it Campus Martius. So in the wintertime, they have a giant ice rink, and everything kind of is built around there. There's always pop-up shops and whatnot. So that's where they had it, which made sense. And it allowed for a lot more people to come down there. So they weren't really condensed. It looked like they were, it was a smaller area, but really it wasn't. It was probably a 4-block area where the actual event took place, and it was just, to see all the people coming down. You ran into a lot of people that came in from out of town. Some people came from other countries, and I just feel like it was very important for Detroit to meet the moment, and they did. And after hearing all this, the NBA had some representatives in town kind of taking a look, because they're looking to get an NBA All-Star game, the NHL All-Star game. They're also looking to get a national championship football game at Ford Field. So this was a good trial run in hopes to lure, some of these big events in. And I really feel like they met it and just blew the expectations out.
And that's what I was going to say. I was like, look, momentum breeds eyeballs, brings more momentum between not necessarily in Detroit, but Michigan winning the championship. Detroit while they make it to the Super Bowl, it was still the atmosphere that everyone talked about. Now this, I don't think anything's on the books that I could see as far as Super Bowls, Final Fours.
Not
yet. But it's going to be interesting that next wave they release. what Detroit may get.
And I think they proved that. I mean, even when they had the Super Bowl in, I think it was 2005, and this was before really the great renaissance that they had down there, and they met expectations. And from 2005 to where it's at now, 19 years, it's grown exponentially. So I really think they're primed to get another major event, and they can handle it, whether it be winter or not. I just think the city is built for that, and this weekend showed it.
It looked fun, and all the Detroit celebrities showed out, and so that is good. The governor was there; everything went smoothly. That's great. So let's talk. Let's move from the city to the actual winners of the draft.
Well, can I say one thing real quick?
Yeah.
I think Detroit showed that the NFL draft can be an event, and it's no longer a show that's held at Radio City Music Hall. It stimulates the local economy. I believe more than 160 million was generated with all of those people downtown. The exposure to new fans, including the fastest growing demographic, which is women, in the NFL. It showed that you don't have to hold things in California, although the Rose Bowl is my favorite for the Super Bowl, in Miami, in New Orleans. You can hold it in these cities, and it helps to rejuvenate. In Cleveland, it's had a renaissance. Pittsburgh, you can have it in these cities, and the people get so excited, and they come out in droves. There weren't 1,800 bachelorette parties in Detroit like there was in Nashville. There was no honky tonks and that type of shit. Nashville is a tourist destination. Detroit just showed out, like as a family, as a city. And I thought it was beautiful. And it was so good for the city, not only for its reputation and image of the Renaissance, but again, local economy. Kudos to the NFL for moving this. And the Super Bowl as well. That should be going to different cities. Maybe not outdoor like New York. That was kind of a disaster. But, so many indoor stadiums now, and they need to take advantage of other cities.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Raj. I'm a bad host. I should let you guys comment too. You guys all watched like I did. Shane, what was your takeaway of the city of Detroit as far as being a host city?
Well, I just want to look back, talk to Raj here. Look, watch your mouth there.
Awesome too.
No, Nashville was fantastic. I was there, and all the bachelorette parties were in 12 South. Okay, so we kicked them out. They were gone. This was all football fans. As far as you could see, I was lucky enough. I had a friend of a friend, and we were in good little bar top area.
He's talking about Roger Goodell.
He fed him M&Ms.
We had a good viewing of everything, but it was amazing downtown, and it was all football fans. All the cowboy hats and bachelorette girls were in 12 South, so.
Whose wives were probably out at the same time as a tourist city. It's not knocking Nashville. Nashville's awesome. Yeah, I'm just saying, if you went to Detroit, you went there for the draft, and that's it.
Yep.
And it's just showing that other cities that don't have such an attraction
Brandon,
can host this event.
Going back to the Titans draft, the next morning, did you remember who the Titans picked? Because they were back. I think they were the 22nd pick, if I can remember correctly.
Yeah. Jeff Simmons was.
Oh, no. I'm saying the next morning, did you remember?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I texted my brother. My brother was there, and I texted him. I was like, "How was the atmosphere?"
No, when we traded, when we got Simmons, traded up to get him. I was like, what's going on? The ACL and the off the field issues. But
my brother had no idea.
That's a steal. Like, he's a top 3 guy, and we got him.
He sat out the first year, correct? From injury.
Yeah, that was the first one they moved to Radio City Music Hall.
No, I agree.
That's great.
Where's it going to be next year? Do they know yet?
Green Bay.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm all about for moving it places, but let's don't go there.
And their expectation is 200,000 for the whole weekend.
Well, there's no hotels. There's nothing.
It's in a neighborhood.
They would bus in, quote,
there.
soul food. I read that they would bus in and transport in soul food in Green Bay. I'm going to leave that one alone.
Okay, NFL. Okay, they can make mistakes. All right, getting into the draft itself and the actual selections. There's always winners. There's losers. Raj, you can take this where you want it. You can be obvious. You can be more so late round picks. Just overall, who do you think did the best job?
I mean, the things that I look at are filling holes immediately, plug and play guys, and the best value. And I'm going to go kind of off script here. Obviously, Detroit did great, but I really liked what Philly did, getting Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, who had a first-round grade from Iowa. They just plugged so many holes. Johnny Wilson, a good FSU receiver. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., they got him late. But I'd probably go with my number one at the first round and pick 18, although I wasn't sold on this guy, the Cincinnati Bengals. And they had a lot of holes, and they got Emeritus Mims in the first round. As Tom knows, who did they get in the second round? A guy with a first-round grade that was on the defensive line of the national champions, Chris Jenkins.
Chris Jenkins, yep.
Another guy with a first-round grade. Then they got Jermaine Burton, the receiver from Alabama in the third. T. Higgins is still wanting a deal. He wants something like what Michael Pittman got, which is 3 years, $70 million. Apparently, there's somebody that doesn't like Michael Pittman, my USC guy in the background. Tight end from Iowa, Eric All. He's 6'5", 250. Obviously, as Tom knows, Iowa tight ends are pretty good, but he's a great blocking tight end. And even, down to later picks, the defensive end from Ole Miss, Cedric Johnson, I believe, a guy that had a higher grade. They got him in the sixth. They just plugged a lot of holes in insurance policies on a team that doesn't have a ton of holes. So I really liked what Philadelphia and Cincinnati did.
I agree with that. Brandon, what do you think? Who is your winner of the draft?
I'll go chalk here with the Bears. I'm not a huge Caleb Williams fan. Just haven't been, and we've talked about that. But his talent is there. I mean, potential's there. This dude could be the real deal, but who knows? But I like what they did just around him, not only during the draft, but off season. But to get him and Odunze, I mean, that in the first round, I mean, that's killing it. And
within the first hour and a half.
Yeah, and they've got DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, and then DeAndre Swift. I mean, the offense is loaded now. So
good OL, top 3 or top 5 defense.
This
is the team to watch out for.
I mean, I think that's the thing. The NFL can change in a coin flip. So, and that's pretty much what they did.
Yeah. Tom, besides the city of Detroit, who do you have as your winner?
I like what the Chargers did. And going back to the draft we had here when we drafted Penei Sewell, that's where it started. And I think them getting Joe Alt, who was clearly the best offensive tackle in this draft, you got to protect your moneymaker. And they knew that coming in. Herbert sacked all the time, never really had much protection. So you had to start there. And he's probably a guy that you're going to plug and play. Like Raj said, he's going to come in. He's going to be a day one starter, just like Penei was here. But I love the fact they got Ladd McConkey out of Georgia. So you need to have some weapons. And McConkey is a great slot receiver who's he's going to get a lot of balls thrown to him, especially now that what's the running back they had there? He's gone now. He's in Washington. Who's the running back they had in the LA that they
was it Gordon?
No, who was it?
Eckler.
Austin Eckler, yeah. Eckler. Now that Eckler's gone, He was.
I don't draft running backs. So.
he was
Yeah,
Herbert's.
Robbie doesn't know what that is.
He was Herbert's kind of security blanket, but so I think McConkey can fill that role. And Raj will like this pick. Late round, Brendan Rice, Jerry Rice's kid. Surround him with some talent. You lost Keenan Allen. You lost Mike Williams. So they kind of brought in some guys that they can really fill them holes early on. And Rice's, emotional story, if you guys didn't see, he took the phone call while he was at his best friend's funeral. He was one of the pallbearers. His best friend was I believe he was shot and killed. So talk about the emotions running high. And when he heard who had drafted him, he was pretty fired up. So it was a good little clip if you can find it. So I like what the Chargers did. And no, I'm not saying that because Harbaugh's their coach. I just think that they had positions that they had to fill and they went after it. And yes, they did get Junior Colson in the second round. So, hey.
I'm my winner of the draft, and it is one pick, but it is the most just checkmate pick that I can imagine. Kansas City getting Buffalo's pick and then drafting the speedy wide receiver that they needed to open up Kelsey and it's like Buffalo. Why would you ever trade your pick to Kansas City? Like, I couldn't believe it. And they got Xavier Worthy, and it's like runs a 4.2. The new Cheetah, just exactly what they didn't pay Tyreek Hill for. Won 2 championships. Now they've replaced. Yeah,
Rashee Rice. Who knows what's going on there, right?
Yeah, they said he's going to be suspended half the year, is what they were reporting on. But yeah, it's just keep reloading that cupboard, and I just thought that was and for Buffalo to trade with them, like no,
you don't trade with your inner rivals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just 101.
So I thought that was the pick. So there on every battle there are winners and there are losers. Tom, start with you. We have all been in this category before, the loser of this draft.
Pre Brad Holmes era, we were losers every year.
Some would say we're the founding members of the loser of the draft category. Who do you got?
You kind of stole my thunder a little bit with Buffalo, because to me, Buffalo was the biggest loser making that trade. And then taking Keon Coleman, who I do think he's going to be okay. He is quite the follow too. His whole press conference, the introductory press conference, it was pretty funny to hear him talk about how he gets his coats in the middle of the summer, and he got his coat he was wearing at Macy's, and it was pretty funny press.
That was hilarious press.
But you look at, they lost Steph Diggs, they lost Gabe Davis, 2 of their big contributors offensively, and really they didn't address it other than Keon Coleman. So I just, Josh Allen needs weapons, and he can't do it himself, and they didn't really set him up for success. And also a bonus one, it's the Cowboys. And it started in free agency. They haven't done anything free agency. And you look at, their best pick was the second round. They got an edge from Western Michigan, Marshawn Nealon. And then their first round pick was the 7th best offensive tackle in the draft with Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma. I don't know if Jerry Jones is just completely losing control of the team or whatever the situation is. It's just they're not in position, and yet I saw a power ranking and they were in the top 5, and I don't understand it for the life of me, but I think they were losers in this draft too.
Not bad at all. So yeah, I mean, I'll go next. I'm gonna state the obvious, is like I'm taking Brandon's thunder. It's just sometimes you have to state the obvious. Local team here, like Atlanta. What in the hell were you thinking? Like that? I mean, it seems I hate to pile on because everyone has on various networks and stuff, but signing Cousins to $100 million guaranteed contract for 2 years is okay. Drafting Penix Jr. in the 8th pick is okay.
It's,
Doing both of them is about as dumb as you can do. And Penix is an old rookie. He's going to be 20. He's 24 now. He's going to be 26 by Cousins' contract expiring. And who knows? Like,
he had 4 consecutive season-ending injuries, and he's got a shot put delivery that's basically down here. He's lucky Aaron Donald retired because he would have ripped his fucking arm off.
yeah.
ACLs, shoulders. I wonder why that delivery like this.
Well, and you build for
you don't
Cousins
need that.
the left tackle to protect the right arm. With Penix, you have to build the right tackle to protect the left arm. It's 2 totally different systems you're trying to build at once. It's just idiotic. I don't know if, speaking of losing it, like I don't know if Arthur Blank's losing it because they said he signed off on this. How could you not get cornerback help, defensive help? I mean, Atlanta has weapons. This was just so freaking stupid.
Hey, being said real quick, I didn't like their 2nd round pick, the DT from Clemson, but after that, I thought they really did well for the next 4 picks. In the 3rd, Braylon Trice from Washington. Anybody in the national championship game saw that. Brandon Dorless, 5-star recruit, defensive tackle from Oregon. J.D. Bertrand, just tackling machine out of Notre Dame. And then an Alabama running back, Jace McClellan. So ironically enough, I love their next 4 picks after the first 2.
Yeah, you can't blow
Number
835 though, and then start being like, "Hey, let's pay attention."
Penix had a 2nd round grade at best. To have number 8 and use it there, and when you could have gotten anybody that's ultra talented, is very Raider.
Well, they said, part of Blank's or the GM's thought process was, well, the QB class next year is not great, so we wanted to pick up some now. Well, the rookie class after that, you have Quinn Ewers, you have, I guess Arch Manning may be able to come out or not. Like you'll have Nico. Like, there's some people coming that are eligible after this class.
I guarantee you he would have been available in the 2nd round, pick 35, which is 3 picks after the end of the 1st. I guarantee it.
I agree.
And they used number 8 on him, which was dumb as fudge.
All right. Brandon, Brandon, who's your loser?
I mean, I'll piggyback off that. I mean, that's the obvious one right there, right? You can't get any worse than that, in my opinion. It would have been fine, like you said, if you didn't sign the Robbie's favorite quarterback to draft in every fantasy league. And until this guy retires, Robbie will have him on his team.
Jake
Snake. That is Kirk Cousins, and he's serviceable. He'll be fine there. They've got weapons, like Raj said. I mean, they didn't need to make this stretch. Now, is their plan to sit him for 2-3 years when he's 24 already or 23? I mean, maybe he hasn't played enough snaps in college because he's been injured every year. I don't know. Terrible pick by the Falcons. Sorry, Randall. It was absolutely the worst pick, worst draft pick. But there's a close second, though. I didn't like the 49ers pick.
I agree.
Purcell, the wide receiver.
Florida.
Out of Florida. What are they doing?
Need receiver.
They don't need receivers. What are you doing? Like,
they need secondary.
Solidify the secondary. Exactly right. I just did not understand that. There are so many people there they could have taken to really help. Again, we're not in ground zero with these guys, but we'll play armchair quarterback here on this podcast.
Raj, who is your loser?
I fucking hate this team and city, except actually it's a beautiful city, but
Raiders.
That's not a beautiful city not when you're 47. Shut up, Tom. Denver, the Donkeys. I feel like, I mean, they got Zach Wilson, but Bo Nix is
Zach Wilson,
in my opinion. He's a guy that everybody said it, throws 4-yard outs to very fast receivers, one of whom they drafted, Troy Franklin, which is a good pick. But Bo Nix at 12, another guy with a second-round grade. It was desperation, in my opinion. That's a team with many holes. Sean Payton has shown, in my opinion, again, that the league has passed him by. And this is a team that gave Seattle like 90% of its future. They mortgaged their future. Bo Nix was not the answer there. And I don't know who was, but trade back, get more picks, fill other holes. Sign a backup to be your starter. Bo Nix is not a good player, in my opinion. And at number 12, it was very Penix esque, in my opinion.
It's Marcus Mariota 2.0. Like, how many times do we have to see these systematic quarterbacks that everyone thinks they're so great in college, they suck in the NFL?
The comparisons they were trying to make with Bo Nix and Drew Brees about how neither of them could throw a deep ball. I'm like, are y'all watching the same Brees that I saw? Like, Brees could throw it deep, and he could throw it deep on a dime, and that was he could hit people.
He couldn't even see his receivers, and he could throw them open.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, Bo Nix does. I don't recall ever seeing him throw downfield. Ever.
No, it's a systematic. Like, no offense, Raj, West Coast kind of dink and dunk, like quick outs and bubble screens and all that stuff, and it makes the quarterback look great, and they.
Because it gets the stats
in that competition. Yeah, exactly. They get stats and they show up grading well and all this. But when you transition to the NFL, just does not work out. We've seen that. That's why I hated our pick years ago. I'm still going to bash Titans and Marcus Mariota.
We had Jake Locker before that. Same thing.
Same thing. Glassman over there, Washington, West Coast. So here we go. No offense,
we don't like.
You're coming to a real
Pac-2 football in Tennessee. If you haven't noticed. Well, all right. So let's get away from the entire NFL and let's get to what the majority of our listeners are listening for, and that is team-specific feedback. Titans, they did what we thought they were going to do, Brandon. Not the player we thought they were going to do. The player we thought they were going to take got stolen. So what did you think about the Titans' first-round pick and overall draft?
I mean, we filled the positions we needed to. I think our offseason was so good. I really do. I think Callahan has got a hold on his direction, and he's obviously making those changes, and totally different than what we've seen with Vrabel, right? Vrabel was more solid, solidified, run first kind of ordeal, and now we're getting, I feel, in the more spread offense, quick guys, but we need some protection. And that's exactly what we did. Obviously, we wanted our Joe Alt out of Notre Dame. Went, where did he go? Fifth to the Chargers. So good pick, but I'm not upset at it at all. We had to go that direction. I know it's not sexy pick 1 and 2, but I think they're on the right track. I mean, this was a good, solid draft. It wasn't a splash by any means, but for real fans and people that understand the game and where we're at in the game and where we stand, I think this was solid.
Quickly, I agree. Offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, cornerback, wide receiver, first 5 picks, check. Everybody's checked. Tom, looking from afar, what did you think of what the Titans did?
Well, like Brandon said, they've kind of blew me away in their offseason. Seeing kind of the trajectory that Tennessee's gone the past couple of years, they brought in some really good names. And so their needs really weren't as necessary, we'll say, coming into the draft that I think you guys all expected, if not for that great offseason. But they need offensive line help, and it starts there. and you lose Henry, or he's gone. He's in Baltimore. So I mean, that has been their biggest need. You have to keep Will Levis upright, and they got the second best offensive tackle. I'm gonna skip ahead, and I'm gonna show some bias here. Your 7th round pick, you got Jalen Harrell, who's from Michigan. This guy is still developing as a football player. The last 2 seasons, he's shown so much improvement.
What number was he at Michigan? Just so I have some reference.
32.
32,
Number
okay.
32. Yep. You could drop him back as a safety. He learned a lot in that Baltimore Raven-esque defense with Mike McDonald. So I think that's a pick at 7 in 7th round that you're going to look at. And
well, you always want edge rushers, right? Especially rotation wise and learning. You can never have enough of those. So I do agree with you, Tom. That was a great.
I'm watching highlights. I remember this guy. Yes, he made some plays.
He can drop back and play linebacker, so he's very versatile. So to get him in the 7th round, and I think he was the 14th member of the Michigan Wolverines that was drafted. So I think they did well. They definitely filled that. The biggest need is offensive line. Like they got Skoronski last year. So, you have to build in the trenches if you want to be successful. And I think Levis has the ability to be a good quarterback, not if he's running for his life. So they kind of addressed that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a flyer on Harrell also real quick. Undersized. He played a lot of edge at Michigan. He'll probably be an outside linebacker in Tennessee. 6'4", 250, who can do a lot of different things. He went late because he's a tweener, but he's a player and he's a guy that staff can mold. And I agree that it's a good value in the 7th round. It'll be interesting to see what they do with him. Either add weight and use him on the line, or drop a little bit. But at 6'4", 247, good run defender, a lot of potential there. And sorry, Brandon, go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just kind of capitalizing on what Tom said, but all good. Yeah, I mean, the Titans did so much in the offseason offensively, with skilled positions. You have to solidify, the line and the secondary, and I think they did that. And, we'll see. I like the direction we're heading, and, sometimes change for the sake of change is good. But I think this is change for a good reason.
We got a comment, likes the fat nose tackle from Texas. Yeah, he's gonna be good. He's gonna be
he's gonna be fantastic.
Especially
DTU, dude. DTU.
Especially chasing Richardson, Stroud, and Lawrence around in the division.
Gotta have him opposite of Simmons. All right, everybody knocks. Simmons had the same kind of MO coming out, right? And we traded up and drafted him because he fell. He should have been a 3rd round pick, a 3rd round draft pick. Third
Gray,
pick. Blah, blah, blah.
Gray was a good pick, the linebacker in the 4th. And then even Jarvis Brownlee, Jr., the cornerback from Louisville, very long, lanky. USC torched them with their backup receivers, but it wasn't this guy. And I thought they did really well getting T'Vondre Sweat from DTU. That's Texas.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good
Gray
pick.
And Brownlee. I thought that was solid.
Well, so moving on from the Titans to Raj, your Raiders, who I thought took the most unique talent in this draft. They didn't blow it. They took a sensible pick, which I had to look back up and back, was this the right? Did they draft? Is this what happened? What were your thoughts on the Raiders? One, their Bowers going number 1, and then their overall draft.
Surprisingly, I'm good with it. People knocked it, but Bowers was projected at 8, 9, pretty high. The Raiders run a lot of 2 tight end sets. They had Foster Moreau, who kept getting hurt from LSU, and what's his name? Waller. Sorry, he never plays anymore because he's hurt. But Michael Mayer last year was not a first-round pick. It was a second. He's more of a blocking guy.
Mhm.
Brock Bowers is a playmaker. He can do both, but he just gets open and creates separation. And they got him at 15. The second-round pick, Jackson Powers Johnson, was a center at Oregon, but he played multiple positions. He had a first-round grade. He's 6'4", 328, but he moves like an undersized center. And the Raiders need versatility. I wasn't stoked with the third-round pick, the kid Platt out of Maryland. He played all around the line, but they went for value in the best player available. But I love Mississippi State DB, DeCamarion Richardson, big run-blocking DB. And then Ohio State, Brandon can attest to, I loved. Well, first I'll go to Trey Taylor, Ed Reed's cousin, the Thorpe winner, who they got in the 7th round out of Air Force. But finally, and I'll switch to Brandon here, his thoughts on getting a 5th-round guy that just tackles everyone, and Tommy Eichenberg out of the Ohio State University. Brandon, what are your thoughts on Eichenberg in the 5th?
I think he's a little sneaky still for you. He's solid on defense coverage, but yeah, he can put his nose down in there and solidify a nickel position if you need it. Just an all around great player, super athletic, great speed, great hands. He's a ball hawk. The type of player that you want on defense for sure. But no, overall, I think the Raiders, they did great. Brock Bowers, I mean, you can't go wrong there, right? I mean, that's just not to say a layup, but a layup of a pick, right? Like, this dude is going to succeed most places, probably 30 out of 32, right?
Sorry, Devontae Adams, Myers,
exactly. So now you open up that offense with another weapon that is just as dangerous as those other guys, right? From day one, right? Like that's incredible. I was hoping to get Brock Bowers somehow with the Titans, although we needed so many other positions, it wasn't going to happen. But I love the Raiders didn't Raider this year, and they
best
had a
player
great
available.
Draft. Dude, they did great. So I was really, really impressed.
It's weird.
It's almost like they fell asleep and just went on auto pick.
I think so. I think your brother won a fantasy league that year. He didn't even show up for the draft, and he just auto picked and won.
It was weird, dude. I was fairly stoked on what they did.
Dude, Raiders killed it this year. Best draft I've seen them have in. I mean, could you call it 10 years? Maybe
you could call it your lifetime. I think
probably more than that. Yeah.
Tom, what did you think about the Raiders pick?
For me, the pendulum swung with the Raiders when they decided to keep Pierce as head coach. They did the right thing. They should have kept Rich Bisaccia 3 years ago, which he took them to the playoffs, and they went to go with McNally.
I froze my ass off at that game, but
which was an absolute epic fail. So they did the right thing by bringing Antonio Pierce here. So the culture's changed, and you have Max Crosby, and I think Crosby, saying, "Hey, if you don't retain Pierce, I'm out. Like, I'm out." And so I think they're listening to the players. The culture's changing, and pre-draft, I was asked, "Who's your surefire bet to be successful? Who's going to be the one player in this draft that you're going to look at as no problem?" And to me, it was Brock Bowers.
There's no questions around him. Yeah.
When I was sitting at Ford Field when they made that pick, I'm like, that's the best pick in this draft so far. And people around me are like, you're crazy, right? You're kidding. I go, this guy's going to get 1,000 yards. He's going to get 8 to 10 touchdowns. He's a winner. He's a 2-time national champion. He's a winner. And
he can block.
That is what the Raiders needed, and I think they nailed it with that pick. So, I mean, the culture with the Raiders is completely transformed, and this draft kind of
I never did that. I never saw the Raiders like doing something correct. So this was great for them.
Easily the best player available.
I mean, you can make an argument like top 4 or 5 guy, right? Easily.
Well, if you're talking about who's not going to be the bust, I'd say he's probably the safest pick.
Absolutely.
You know,
he's 100% guaranteed.
Even coming off the injury that he had, he came back last year. But
the NFL protects players a lot more than college does too, and so they are defenses are trained to hit in certain areas and not hit in certain areas. That it's easier in a weird way to survive the NFL season not getting hurt than it is like college football. They're bigger, stronger, faster, but they also can only hit in a certain area where college people have more free reign or less rules, I should say. All right, so let's transition to the host team of this. Tom, your Lions. Tom, then Raj, then Chain. Tom, your Lions drafting at home. They didn't trade out of the first round. They coming off of a NFC Championship appearance. What did you think? And are they ready to take the next step?
Well, there was a lot of uneasiness, we'll say, downtown, because there was rumors that Brad Holmes was going to trade out, being at 29. What value can you get? But then coming into Thursday, there was grumblings that they were going to maybe trade up. So when they were able to make that swap with the Cowboys for, I believe it was
24th.
It was, they went from 29 to 24, but they gave up their, I believe, the 71st pick for it to draft, arguably the best corner, the most athletic corner in the draft. So the Ford Field went crazy. I know down at the draft itself, that place went bonkers. That guy wanted to be here. Consensus was it was him or Kool-Aid McKinstry. I was never on the Kool-Aid bandwagon. I wanted Arnold or Cooper DeJean. That was who I would have liked to seen, if not Arnold. So I think the bottom line is Brad Holmes is making his way to be one of the best GMs in football. So he gets Arnold, and he gets Rackstraw Jr. from Missouri, who he's top 3 probably corner talent altogether. And so right there, their biggest need was secondary help, and they addressed it in the offseason. So they get a home run with those 2 picks. And then they go unconventional. They go to British Columbia to get Giovanni Manu, who is 6'8", 330, I believe. This guy is an absolute monster. And they reloaded on offensive line. So in Brad, we trust. And for them to keep that offensive line flowing, they lose Jonah Jackson. They go get Kevin Zettler from Baltimore. So they lose, and then they gain, and then they get some more bodies fresh coming in this draft. It's just they're positioning themselves with depth. They bring in Mekhi Wingo, who's going to be a defensive tackle out of LSU. They get him in the 6th round.
5-star. And they got him in the 6th round, pick 189.
Yep. Second fastest 40 time in the combine at his position. You got Aleem McNeil sitting in front of him, who he's coming up in a draft year. So now you just built depth in the middle there. So very smart drafting. Again, Brad Holmes drafts for needs and fit other than names. So I'm excited for this draft. I think they did a really good job, and ultimately, I think they can make the next step, because literally the only one they lost was Jonah Jackson, and like I said, they gained in Kevin Zettler. So the NFC North with Chicago, I think Chicago's going to be really good this year. It's going to be a powerhouse conference, and if Detroit can pull off a back-to-back North championship, they're going to earn it, because Green Bay's sitting back there, and I'm not too sold on Minnesota, so I'm not really worried about them. But they have Justin Jefferson, which is the X factor. So all in all, I think the Lions got better, and being they were 1/2 away from going to the Super Bowl, I like their chances.
Yeah, I can
Minnesota
confirm.
got a good draft, though.
I can confirm that no team can lose Kirk Cousins and still win the Super Bowl.
JJ McCarthy, bro.
Give them 2 years. I like JJ. Give them 2 years.
I think Green Bay crushed it in the draft, though. But I'm biased. Marshawn Lloyd, just 250 with a really high USC running back, South Carolina transfer. Any Georgia safety is going to be good. An A&M, Edgerrin Cooper, Jordan Morgan, the OL from U of A in Arizona. Evan Williams, a DB safety out of Oregon. They even Michael Pratt, who's the quarterback from Tulane, was projected to go higher. Kalen King, I think he was all Big Ten or one of the teams in the 7th round. But this was a team with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with 11 picks. So they had a big talent infusion. And I agree. This went from the worst division in football to one of the best.
Yeah. No, and the Lions picks kind of mirror the Titans. Like, it's not sexy. It's not big names that you hear in skilled positions, but it's filling holes and it's solidifying holes that you need to make it to the next level. Obviously, the Lions were so close last year. Titans were so far away, but I think we did enough in the offseason. And we're building everything around Levis, so I'm not going to get on that. But no, Lions, I love what they did. Wasn't sexy. They filled holes. I like Campbell. I love Holmes. I love what they're doing there. I love the culture. I'm a fan of everything they've done to rebuild this team and this whole city and belief in that team. So good on you on that.
They may have the best talent evaluators in the draft, and Tennessee does too, like you said, with Simmons and others, except at quarterback. They suck, at quarterback evaluation.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we're building
Everything
everything
else is
around.
great.
Yeah, Titans are building everything around Levis as the guy, right? And that's fine. If they think he's the guy, I'm not there, right?
Yeah,
if they think he's the guy.
But
At least they're making the right moves to make him the guy, right?
If he is the guy, this is how you win. This is how the Seahawks win with. This is how with the rookie quarterback on a cheap deal, pay people around them.
Yeah, you don't go half-ass in, right? If you believe it's that guy, then let's build a team around.
That's how you win the NFL.
Go.
Either that, or a quarterback that takes less money, or a freak like Mahomes.
Yeah,
but
Justin Collington just had a great point with the Rams losing their coach and Eric Henderson, losing Aaron Donald, obviously filling needs with Jared Verse and Brandon Fiske, the Central Michigan transfer,
Teammates.
both all ACC. Blake
Corum.
Corum, Cam Kinchin's great value. In the 4th round, the safety out of Miami, late in the 3rd. Even the Clemson, like Justin said, the offensive tackle, Tyler Davis, who was all ACC. They really plugged holes. And again, value, plug and play, those are the things you look at. And this is a team on the rise, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Big shout out to JP. He's engaged, getting married this summer.
Oh, congratulations.
Proud of you, big fella. Proud of you.
He's
This
full of
weekend?
good calls then.
JP's getting
Full of
married.
great calls, bro.
Yeah, that's
Full of great
awesome.
calls.
Congratulations. So talking about getting married and spending half of your money on stuff, let's talk about how to make money so you can have money to spend half of your stuff. It is time for the Bet Your Nuts.
It's time for Bet Your Nuts.
Well, when I was at the meeting on Monday of one, when I was talking to myself into the camera, I said I thought this could be a Kentucky Derby edition, but you guys can go wherever you want with it since no one was there to back me up. Or
I followed suit with the Kentucky Derby. So,
Brandon, you seem ready. What do you got for Bet Your Nuts this week?
We're going Catching Freedom, Kentucky Derby, Catching Freedom. I don't know what the odds are. I don't care. That just sounds like a great name. So let's catch some.
That horse is 8-1, starting at the 4th position. I like that.
He's
spot.
gonna be great. He's gonna win it. I promise. Just don't bet my money on it. Bet your own. I will also bet my own. This is gonna be great. We're all gonna make money. It's Catching Freedom. Let's go.
Catching Freedom. Brandon's going Catching Freedom at 8-1. I like it. Tom, what about you?
I don't have any horse picks, but I do have Sabretooth picks. Predators Friday night going back to Smashville. Huge win last night in Vancouver. Third period started a little shaky. They go down 1-0 and just battle back. What a great night net for UC Saros. So I'm going Preds money line -25 and their 1.5 goal favorite. I think that's a goal at +200. And then I got to go with the NASCAR pick this Sunday, the Advent Health 400.
Number 45.
You got it. Yes, sir. I'm gonna put some money on my man.
23X is on a 2-race winning streak. Or 23-11, I should say.
Actually, Gibbs won last week, but he's the owner.
Yeah. You're
that's +550. So, give me Tyler.
Hey, real quick, Tom, you're like the hockey guy. You think Vancouver folded in Nashville to rest and gets Game 7 at home?
No. You saw what they were able to do the last 3.5 minutes in game 4.
Yeah.
They were never dead. They kept battling and they forced that game into overtime and win obviously a minute in. No, I think this game
is going to be rocking.
It's going to be a crazy, almost Canadian-like atmosphere because those Canadian teams, you see what they do outside in the streets. They're packing them people, and you're going to see that, I think. And it's Friday night in Smashville. I mean, the script is written for Game 7.
Yeah.
You know who misses Tutu just to start fights out there on the ice. Like just punch people in the face for no reason.
Harold's got us 3. He's got Braves Friday and Sunday, but not Saturday.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Those are some fighting words.
The pitching matchups are kind of Yamamoto's going already today. They're up 5-0. I think Glasnow is going to go before that. So Harold is smart. He's looking at pitching matchups.
Yeah. Tom, we'll get to maybe your final thoughts about the Brave Stadium, but Raj, what's your bet your nuts this week?
I'm taking Lillard is doubtful for tomorrow's game against the Pacers at Indiana. Obviously, the Greek Freak is not playing, so I will take the Pacers as long as Lillard isn't playing, -8.5. And if Lillard plays, I'll take the Bucks. And then Knicks and Sixers. Philly needed 46 from Tyrese Maxey to win that game. Jalen Brunson and whatnot. I don't see them losing 2 in a row. I'll take the Knicks +3.5 tomorrow in Philly. The Knicks will close them out. That's a team that feeds off of the opposing crowd, and plus the Knicks were half that stadium. So give me the Pacers and give me the New York Knicks and their GM when Randall went down, getting OG Attaboy from Toronto. Just amazing work. And the Knicks are doing things right, like the Raiders. What the fuck is happening, dude? World is going to end.
All right. I like it. I'm going sticking on the talking points from my meeting of one. I'm going just a touch, starting at the 8th position, 10-1. Don't know anything about him, but I like that position and I like those odds. So just a touch for this guy.
Is it just the tip? Did you say
at 10-1? This isn't Talladega, Tom. Get your head out of the gutter.
Sorry.
Get your head out of the infield, Tom.
Yeah.
That always works, by the way.
You're going for balls deep to win this one, aren't you?
All right, guys. Before we wrap it up, everyone, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, follow, whatever you do on all of these: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Apple. Spotify.
There you go.
Yes, you did it.
No
You
final
did
words.
Yes. All right. Final words, guys. Final words, not final thoughts. Final words.
Yeah, we got it. You got it right today.
See, well, Brandon, what do you got?
Okay, so I haven't watched a whole lot of NBA this year, just because most of it's unwatchable until you get to the playoffs, right? But Anthony Edwards, oh my God. Have you guys seen him? It is unbelievable.
Did you know he was on the Timberwolves before the playoffs?
Yes, I did.
Now that he's lost weight
last year. Dude, he was good last year. He had flashes, but he is dominant this year. Like dunking over KD. Like, I mean, just doesn't care.
USA's go-to.
I mean, dude,
easily.
Now there's like conspiracies that he's Jordan's one of his 20 kids or 30 kids. You know, like it's crazy. But this dude is super talented. Like I said, on a text to us guys, Yahoo, like where did he go?
Yep.
All of a sudden, you know, gets in a little trouble. He was the guy to watch last year, but now this year for sure, Anthony Edwards, dude, it is electric. It's fun to watch, and it's fun to watch competitive NBA basketball. And that you only get that in the playoffs because the rest of it's just like, yeah, whatever. Nobody cares. People sit, whatever. But man, it's very entertaining. So if you're not an NBA fan, if you're not a basketball fan, I encourage you to watch it. Timberwolves, Nuggets, it's gonna be a great matchup right there. So please tune in and just watch some good entertainment.
All right, I'll go next. Mine's non-sports related, but kind of tangentially sports related. I can't let the Tortured Poets Department get released without me commenting on it.
Here we go.
Robbie's going to Italy to watch her.
Yes, I am going to Italy to watch her in Milan this summer.
Not to be outdone. Huh?
So please like, subscribe, and sponsor our podcast because I got some bills to pay.
Rules, dude. I didn't even know what Tortured whatever was. I Googled it, but going to Milan is awesome.
Yeah. So anyways, just the talent, the fan base, whatever she has amassed. She has 14 of the top 14 Billboard 100 songs right now, which means if it wasn't for herself, she would have 13 other number one songs, which is just insanity for any profession. We like greatness. We like Tiger Woods. We like Michael Jordan. We like Kobe Bryant. We like these people that are great. And just hands off to her. I'm a Swiftie, obviously, but it's just like the impressiveness never stops to amaze me.
My daughter would love this part of the podcast.
Raj, what about you?
Three things. Number one, kind of piggybacking off that, like that with the song with Kendrick Lamar and Metro Boomin. If you guys haven't heard Kendrick's assassination, absolute assassination of Drake.
On Drake, Euphoria.
Euphoria.
God.
Check it out. I mean, it's an assassination. And as a West Coast guy, obviously it made me proud. But I mean, he just said what everybody in the world is thinking.
Absolutely.
So check out Euphoria. Look at the lyrics on YouTube.
I have not heard this.
So good. It's so good.
Get off of here.
It's a literal assassination.
Drake, I'm sorry, you're done, dude. Like, just don't even respond.
Don't even bother. You can't get up off the mat. You're fucking done. Number two, the Lakers. They took Denver down to the final shot twice. Darvin Ham is a dildo. They fire him, hopefully. Keep LeBron and Davis. Don't play them 40 minutes a game. You got depth for a reason. They didn't have Kentucky's Jared Vanderbilt, who was their best defender. They didn't have another 7-footer in Christian Wood. When they beat Denver in the bubble, they had 18 fouls of 7 feet to throw at them in AD, Dwight Howard, D12, and JaVale McGee. And they kind of built their roster around beating Denver. And if they can stay healthy and get a new coach, they had a lead in every single game. They led for like 165 minutes, and Denver led for 59. Being said, Denver, with the Lakers and Shaq and Kobe, we used to say as long as they're down 10 or less to start the fourth, they'll win. And Denver, superior team and coach team. I'm not going to say the Lakers would have won the series, but it would have been more interesting. Finally, staying in Southern California, whether the Caitlin Clark effect or not, women's basketball has been spotlighted, finally. And I know it's a big deal in Tennessee and Connecticut, but it isn't around the rest of the world. And as a basketball purist, coaching matters, team basketball matters. But I'm just stoked on USC basketball, even though I love Musselman, the women over the men with Lindsey Gottlieb, getting Kiki Arap all Pac-10, 19 and 10 average with Cameron Brink, who's super hot, by the way, drafted by the Sparks #2 to transfer. Olhappen, the guard, all Pac-12 twice from Oregon State. Raya Marshall staying. Lindsey Gottlieb's the coach. And, of course, a celebrity, probably one of the biggest celebrities in L.A. She can't go anywhere, Juju Watkins. So I am stoked for women's basketball, dude. Like, I've never really felt this way. And it's just because I forgot how much better it is of a product, if you will, than something like Brandon says, the NBA, which is superstar-driven athleticism nonsense at times.
And so, sorry, before I go to you, Tom, I just got to do one add-on plus one final thoughts because Raj just added this. Speaking of women's basketball, the great Candace Parker retired over the week, who was a Tennessee legend, a LA Sparks legend, Chicago Sky legend, Las Vegas Aces legend, world gold medalist, just one of the probably at least top 10 women's basketball players ever, an ambassador to the sport. I'd say, she was great. She and I went to Geology 101 together, so I'll always have a soft spot in my class or heart for Candace, who she was on crutches for tearing her ACL her freshman year in Knoxville. And so, but yes, Candace Parker, thank you for being an ambassador to women's sports and college basketball. So, Tom,
and easy on the eyes too.
Yes, she's not ugly.
I have to end with that,
and she's also great on television.
Yeah, she is.
I have a role for sure.
Yeah.
So, as we led in with the Talladega trip, we finished that trip, Robbie and I, back in Atlanta where it started. Got to experience the Battery in Atlanta where the Braves play, Truist Park. And from the moment we walked into that whole area, the Battery itself, what a great, great area. I made a comment to Robbie that you don't even know there's a baseball stadium there because everything is built around it. It's such a great energy, a great atmosphere. And then the baseball stadium, you go in and it's not fancy. It's not filled with, there's suites there, but it's a baseball stadium.
Mm-hmm.
It's an old school feel. I likened it to Progressive Field in Cleveland where it's enclosed. So really the only outside that you see is the hotel that's just outside of center field.
The Omni.
We
book a year in advance for the Dodgers series.
Yeah. So
awesome.
That's Raj money there.
Yeah.
Omni.
So we looked into it. It was $625 for a Monday night at the Omni, but
you got to book it a year in advance, especially for the Dodgers when they're on the weekend. This year it's a 4-game set over the weekend.
But it was, if you're a baseball fan, it's just an old school stadium. I loved it. I loved every bit of it. The fans are great. Obviously, the product on the field helps. So, it was a great way to kind of cap off an awesome weekend. And we, before we went back to the hotel, we ate Waffle House. You damn right we ate Waffle House. I was paying for it in the morning, but It was worth it.
The only thing more impressive than all the professional athletes we saw that weekend was the Waffle House cook.
Oh, this dude, he couldn't have been 19, 20 years old. And he was nonstop. And even so much so that, I made a comment. I'm like, you guys are great. We appreciate what you do. And
Hey,
I just
trade labor is not lost. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
you need that, right? You need
Tom
you
goes
need all
last.
that.
I'm sorry, Brandon. Tom goes last because he does heartfelt things and speaks just
No.
like genuine. And this week it's about the Waffle House cook and
It's
I do
appreciation.
have a little add-on real quick
Yeah.
before we go. I know we're running long, but so let's end this GOAT debate right in basketball. And I'm not even going to bring Michael Jordan in because he's too good to even talk about this, but Kobe Bryant, he wins in the playoff, gets in a press conference. People are, asking him, how you feel, blah, blah. He's like, job's not finished. LeBron says, oh, it's just basketball. Just basketball. That's the difference between that mentality.
Yep.
The Mamba mentality, Jordan. Sorry, Raj.
Kobe is my
that struck me. Like, I was a big LeBron fan in Cleveland for sure. But that right there, I'm done.
that being said, no professional athlete has ever done what he's doing at 39 with about
For
25
sure.
on those legs.
I don't
I
doubt
agree,
his
though.
accolades.
Mamba mentality is
But he just does.
Well, and you look at high school kids now. No one's like throwing a trash can LeBron. No, it's still Kobe.
Kobe,
It's
yeah.
like it's like
my
Kobe-
9-year-old knows it. Kobe.
Kobe was a killer. Like,
Mhm.
so there's probably a bad term. But fuck it. No,
Exactly.
It's an
I know what you're
analogy.
saying.
It's an
Right.
analogy. People calm down. Kobe was a killer on the court.
Mhm.
LeBron is more finesse.
He's a facilitator, and I totally get all that. But it's just, and maybe he's just trying to hang on so he can play with his son, and I totally get that. And maybe, but he's still doing great things. Like what he's doing at this age is unbelievable. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to knock that at all. I'm just saying.
I mean, LeBron's our age, and
I'm just saying,
I-
it's just
I'm re-
there's a mentality there that he's lost, and he had it at one time. I think, obviously, he did, but
I have to frame
maybe if
this.
you play
but
long enough, you lose it. I don't know.
yeah,
but-
no, LeBron's our age, and hell, he's playing in the NBA. I'm rehabbing with my dog. My dog can't run. I'm like, I can't run either. We're just chilling together.
I know. I'm so mad when he left Cleveland. Anyways.
couldn't afford the frame, but that's a signed Kobe Bryant.
That's
His
awesome.
reverse.
You do need
Look
to
at
get
him
that
up
frame.
there. So this is a
Dude.
new addition to the collection, and there's a lot of Kobe in here.
Yeah.
But this is brand new, so I'm
Yeah,
pretty stoked on it.
I got Jordan, Kobe, LeBron.
Go to YouTube, by the way. Little Uzi Vert has got a song called Kobe. Google the two of them. It's one of the
Right.
best highlight clips I've ever
I'm
seen.
I'm going
Check it
straight
out.
to listen to Euphoria. Can't wait to see it. Guys, thank you all for watching. We will be
Absolutely.
back next week. We'll have now our show gets interesting. It is going to be completely different than everything you see on ESPN, Fox, whatever you want to see. Now we're getting into the interesting topics that we will create every week, and everything will be a little different. It'll be a little more outspoken, and we will have fun with it. We welcome your comments. Thank you guys all for watching, and until next week, be safe and bet on
You guys bet on? Would you bet
Catching
on James
freedom.
Daniels?
just
Last question.
Catching
Would you
freedom.
bet on
whoever I
James
said.
Daniels?
Whoever rewind it 5 minutes says who you bet on. All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Reckless Speculation. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube searching Reckless Speculation. Catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We look forward to catching you right here next week with another exciting episode of Reckless Speculation. Cheers.